to turn our attention to Gaelic football. Delighted to say David Brady joins us on the line this morning. Morning, David. How are things?
Ian, how's it going, buddy? How's things?
Keeping well. Thanks for hopping on. We haven't had the chance to chat to you since Mayo launched themselves back into the Sam Maguire race last weekend. I'm sure you're buzzing. The hype train has taken off again.
Well, that man says Thomas the Tank is in full flow, without a doubt. It was, and like we talked this time last week, and we were going, the permutations and what kind of a Mayo team we're going to turn up. But this was not really the ideal game that you'd want facing Munster champions, All-Ireland favourites, and a Kerry team that was nearly at full strength as such. And it turned out to be the ideal scenario, because it really has painted a picture for Mayo now and what they can do and what path is ahead of them. And it was, for me, if you have, we were talking about the hype train, the engine room really turned up, and that was a big difference for me as well from a Mayo perspective. Your middle six contributed a massive amount more to what there has been in the last number of weeks and during the Connacht Championship. The likes of Matty Ruane, very, very dominant, really took the game by the scruff of the neck. You also had Jordan Flynn, who equally has, every time he seems to play at Kerry, his game just goes up that extra 2 or 3 notches. I think he was man of the match in February and just never got to that level of that standard again during the rest of the National League games. So he reproduced his form against Kerry again. That was very important. And you had the likes of Conor Loftus from a centre back position, really going forward at a lot of opportunities. We've talked about Conor as the plus one and who's marshalling the defence from a Mayo perspective, but he was given a little bit more free rein, and there was more others that kind of held that plus one role at times. So they handed over very well. And I think it was positive, and it creates that opportunity now for Mayo where they win their next 2 games. You look to win every game, but they can have that little bit of a break. And I think the break in the 6 weeks has done them the world of good. They've worked it very well from a player's perspective and a management perspective.
Is that the incentive, David? Because I know a lot of people crab the format, but finishing first, you mentioned the break, you have a game less as well. How did they approach, because they're going to be Cork and Louth, simple as, so how did they approach that and keep their momentum up then for the next stage?
Johnny, there's nothing simple as with Mayo, let me tell you. You know that. And Cork and Louth will present their own challenges. But it had, and if you look at the way that the whole season has gone down, yes, it's a condensed season, but there's no such thing as a free Christmas, because it's like December, January is flat out, and you're going February, March, April. There's no let up. And every team is kind of focusing on different things, but you got to think, but Kevin McStay is only in, so a new manager brings kind of that new momentum and that new focus, and it doesn't give you any time to just say, look boys, I understand you, you understand me, we're well established in our game plan and what we want to produce. So it was 5 intensive months without a doubt for Mayo, culminating in a National League win, but come that Monday after we were defeated by Roscommon, everything seemed gloom. But that 6 weeks, I know there was a number of fellas that were gone on the Tuesday morning over to Portugal, and did them the world of good to get that 2 weeks off. Now you kind of go, do you give 1 week, do you give 2 weeks? But you have a manager and a management team in Kevin McStay that goes, you know what, 2 weeks is important.
I think this is, he spoke about that actually after the game, but I you do get the impression that the Mayo players actually really enjoy playing for this management team.
I did enjoy playing for Kevin McStay. Not that I've ever played for him or with him. He's a club man of mine in Ballina. But he just kind of he seems to have his finger on the pulse. Liam McHale is another one. Liam is just a joy to be around. Very, positive. There's fun in it, and there's a bit of joie de vivre about this Mayo team, and that you need it in a setup. You need it in a camp. And again, you have Donny Buckley, who's who I think really has worked when he got his hands on them on that first night back. You can see what they're really trying to achieve, and that is, again, that their link, and a lot of their link play wasn't very good. It wasn't very evident against Roscommon, but their angles of running, their support runners, and again, it was the runners that were like making 1, 2, 3 options coming off fast transition ball. That was a big thing from Mayo perspective. They had massively fast transition, but they kind of got ahead of a Kerry defence that were unable to set up in a number of times. But again, it is the mind is a lot to do with sport, and it was a Munster final for Kerry. It is, and was an emotional and personal few days for the Cliffords, and it just kind of, then you're kind of going, oh, we have to go and do this then, 2 weeks later, and it's nearly down off a high and trying to pump yourself up again. Now, Mayo, Killarney, first time in 20 odd years they've been defeated down there. It wasn't that Kerry disrespected, but it just that Mayo were at a different pitch, and we're only 9-10 weeks away from the end of the season, so it's a challenge for everyone. So it is on the Kerry team and the Kerry management, but to have that opportunity to get back on the bike again.
Tell you, one man who enjoys or seems to enjoy playing under Kevin McStay is Aidan O'Shea, David, because he's a man reborn almost, and he seems to have found his position as well. And I was listening to Colin Boyle on the show during the week with Joe, and he was talking about the fact that even during the league, whether they put Jason Foley on him or Dylan Casey on him, it didn't matter because he was just having a field day, and the same happened last weekend. I think he picked up the Man of the Match award against Kerry last weekend. He looks like he's confident again this season.
He's confident, Shane, because I think he knows what's expected of him, and it's been laid out very clear. And I think he's confident because he knows that he has a role to play, and it's not the superhero role that I think, from centre back, midfield, centre forward, full forward, full back. Like, the only place he hasn't played is the goal.
Yes.
And Liam McHale had that problem, or people used to say it back when he was playing. I don't. Is he a full forward? Is he a midfielder? Is he a half forward? Is he? Sometimes when a manager is very forthright but very confident in your ability to say, you know what, Johnny, you're full forward, and you're my number one, and this is the 4 things I need from you. And the one thing that Mayo are getting and Aidan O'Shea is providing is a very simplistic work rate. He is absolutely tigerish in his defence, in his pushing up on kickouts, in his directing that kind of forward line. He's very experienced. He knows the calls. He knows when the time is to push up, sit back, step off. And it's paying rewards and dividend, but it's kind of that flow of long ball, direct ball, and you have a target man. I think when you have 6 foot, I don't like it. Aidan is a big man.
Yeah.
6'3" odd, 4 nearly, and you're thinking in your own mind, and as Markham, you're going, right, I need to make sure that I am touch tight, or this guy is not going to get the ball over my head. A lot of the ball that's gone in from my own perspective is a nice 15-20 yard hand pass straight in front of him. So that the defender is betwixt and between. Do I sit behind, or is it high or is it low? And a lot of it is into his chest, and he's going left and he's right, and he's getting that little bit of confidence with the freeze also from his on his left foot.
Any suggestion that he would have called today? He's 33 this summer, and you look at Keegan, obviously last season, but very, very disappointing. Was there any suggestion in his head, like, he didn't look like he was improving, put it that way?
No, and good point. And again, it's probably freshness is a great food for thought. And again, I probably had it in the latter stages of my career where I had Mickey Moore in 2004, and the following year was John O'Mahony. 2006, and then the following year was John O'Mahony. So you're kind of, it gives you that little bit of a hook, or that little bit of an incentive or an appetite. And I think that the mix, the recipe then of Stephen Rochford there and Donny Buckley. Donny would be have a great understanding and a relationship with Aidan and vice versa. And it's a perfect mix with a little bit of a challenge. And the challenge was very forthright and very, I suppose, straight from Kevin McStay and his management team. Said, "This is what we want from you. This is where we want it, and this is the only thing we want from you." And I think that gives you that confidence as you go on. But it definitely ends without a doubt best year.
Don't know which of these games, David, this weekend are jumping out to you, but just so people are aware of the fixtures. So tomorrow, Saturday, the group stages. The other game in Mayo's group, Louth and Cork, play at Park Talton in Navan at 3 o'clock. You've got Armagh Westmeath at the Athletic Grounds at 4:45 tomorrow, and then at 7 p.m, Derry take on Monaghan up in Celtic Park in Derry, and then the only game on Sunday is in Croker, Dublin against Roscommon from 4. Guess it'll be interesting to see where Derry and Armagh are both at after that hectic enough Ulster final.
I'm telling you, that was a very emotional, zapping week as well, with all that was in the headlines and all that was being talked about and read about. And what a game! In all fairness, and if anyone, I did hear one or two. I'm going, oh my God. It had absolutely everything.
This is entire contrast. Joe Brawley says you might as well just turn off the last 10 minutes. So you're totally on the other end of this.
I was going, what's the setup? What are they doing? I think, the first score was, I don't know, what was the minutes? But it was textbook. And that's, and you're going, is it unfortunate that's the way football is going, Johnny? But you're going, it was textbook. They weren't just giving the ball away and creating this up and down. They were controlled. They knew their form. They knew their setup. And I thought it was like there was every time there was a score, back to 2, back to 1, back to 2, back to 1. It might take 3.5 minutes for one score. Derry keeping the ball for that length of time, but very structured, very kind of regimental, and very smart, but very good footballers. And we had the performance from McGuigan was just sublime, absolutely sublime. I thought it was a fantastic game of football. And you're going, sure, every game is only exciting in the last 15 minutes. You're not going to be on the edge of your seat, but it was enthralling, intriguing, and it had so many subplots. I do think, Shane, and you'll be very glad to hear this. I think that Monaghan will. I cannot see being an 8 point like it was in the Ulster Championship. I think Monaghan have got a little bit of confidence back in their psyche, and I think how is Derry going to manage the emotion of again winning a fantastic, enthralling Ulster final? Now to go back in and go, all right, so we need to raise ourselves again. I think that's one question mark. And again, we talked about it last week. Armagh, Westmeath, yes, Armagh will be licking their wounds and everything else, but it is from a psychological point of view. Westmeath hadn't the greatest year from a Division 3 perspective, but they're thereabouts. But I think there could be. It'll be very interesting to see how both Derry and Armagh get over that kind of massively explosive, emotive, and zapping Ulster final. It'll be, and thank God for the Ulster final, because there was damn all else from a provincial final perspective. And I think it's if they scrap the provincials, we'll still keep Ulster, boys.
100%. Hold on to Ulster.
Hold on to Ulster.
No surrender to the Ulster Championship.
Don't give Ulster to anyone.
We'll hold on to it for now. David, great stuff. And as you say, look, that Derry Monaghan match takes on more significance when you look at Kerry Mayo last week, and teams want to finish top of their group to avoid that extra game. David, brilliant stuff as always. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Thanks, Shane. See you, Johnny.
Thanks, David. They're getting them